welcome back to the garage. Today's restorations are going to be on these T-Bevels. One is an antique Disston from the late 1800s, and another one is a Stanley T-Bevel from World War II era. So we're going to give them a little bit of a polish up, clean up, maybe a little bit of a preservation, not so much of a restoration. Why don't you come on this side and we'll take a closer look. All right, so first up on the Bevels, also known as angle finders, is this Henry Disston & Sons number 2. It goes back to about 1891 to 1905. The blade opens up, tighten the screw down, and you're ready to find your angle and transcribe it over. Bevels are one of the essential tools, especially if you're a woodworker, but they're great even if you're not. The next one here is a Stanley. It's a number 25, type 8. This one goes back to World War II, and the cool thing about this one, it's got the lever instead of the knob. It opens up also, finds your angle. But this one goes back to World War II, and you could see that while this one has, the Disston has brass on it, this one I believe has steel. It's missing the plate at the bottom. And while the Disston is rosewood, nice and heavy wood, this one is, it looks like it's just painted. So during World War II, a lot of the resources in the country were going towards supporting the war effort. So this Wartime number 25, you could see a lot of the changes that happened during the war. Steel instead of brass, painted surfaces instead of the more expensive wood, and generally a less expensive version. But it's really cool to have a World War II era number 25. So we got one that's over 120 years old and another one that's, I guess what, 85 years old. So we're going to give them a clean up, preserve what we can on them, and get them shining again. I think the first thing to do is tear them down and get them into the evaporust. All right, so tear down on the Bevels is pretty easy. Unloosen the lever. And the Disston. Yeah, I was debating on what to do about the wood, the remnants of the paint that was left over on it, whether to leave it, clean it up a little bit, or strip it off and redo it. But with as nice as the steel came out, I think we're going to scrape off what's left of the paint and maybe stain it, maybe just cover it with some boiled linseed oil, get it to be a nice match for the steel. All right, so the scraping and a little bit of sanding is finally done. And it appears that the wood, it's very light, appears that it's red cedar. So I'm betting that this would really look good with some boiled linseed oil on it. Now at the time, the wartime bevels, they could have anything. They could be stained, they could be painted, different kinds of wood. So we're going to see what boiled linseed oil looks on it. That way we'll still see some of the grain and we can put a little bit of shine on it. Okay, so moving on to the late 1800s antique Disston bevel. This one is definitely heavier. That's some nice rosewood in there. Curious as to how this brass is going to clean up. The casting on the wing nut, the nut up here is very rough, but it should clean up nice. I don't want to do a whole lot to it, but I think with just a little bit of help, this is going to look good. A little bit of sanding. All right, so with as nice as the rosewood on the Disston bevel came out, I think we're going to put a nice little shine on that wood to go along with the shine on the brass. We're going to use some true oil on it. I use that a lot on on some of the stocks for the guns that I refinish, and I think it's going to make this rosewood look fantastic. Alright, so the next day, the blades have had a 24-hour soak in evaporust. We're going to probably just give them a steel wool. Doesn't look like there's really too much pitting on them. If we need to, we'll do a little bit of sanding. Just some 4/0 steel wool. Alrighty then, that wraps up the refurbishment of these couple of bevels. The Disston & Sons 1890s antique bevel, over 120 years old. The Stanley No.25 Bevel, produced over between 1941 and 1944. It's a wartime production. Yeah, they're commonplace. They're pretty much seen in every toolbox. They are an indispensable tool, but what's cool about these ones, got an over 120-year-old one and one that was made during World War II. So really happy with the way they come out. The wood on the Stanley looks fantastic. The rosewood on the Disston came out equally nice. The brass shined up. It's got that really ornate sunburst pattern on the thumb screw. And really shined up nice. I'm happy with the way they look. Why don't you come on this side, we'll take a closer look at them. Well, okay then. Thanks again, everyone, for stopping by the garage, hanging out with me, and watching the restoration of these bevels. I had a lot of fun doing them. Really happy with the way they came out. Hope you had a lot of fun watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. We got a lot more restorations coming up in the garage, so we'll see you on the next one.